Good morning, Skidaway. Today what I want to talk to you about comes from Genesis 6, verses 5 through 8. I've been studying through Genesis, as you know, and one of the things I do as I look through Genesis is try to find identification points for me that allow me to connect with God on a more intimate level. One of the things that's really easy for us to look past God's emotions is anything but anger and love. And our God is not two-dimensional. One of the things that I try to teach our youth is that ability to connect with God on an intimate level. And a lot of the times that requires looking to Him to fulfill gaps in our lives. One of the reasons I look for identification points for myself is that growing up, when I looked in the mirror, I couldn't find my mother's face. In fact, what I saw was the face that had to have belonged to my biological father, a man that hurt my mother, a man that I did not want to be connected to at all. And so when I am connecting with God, that is something that I look for on purpose. And so, unfortunately, something that we are all familiar with is grief, and so is our God. In Genesis 6, verses 5 through 8, it is talking about the wickedness that has coming to this world, to the point that when God looked at creation, all He saw was their evil. And He is so grieved by it that He is at the point of destroying it all, until He looks at Noah and He finds his image again, that goodness that was there at the conception of creation. In Noah, it says that Noah found favor in the sight of the Lord, and that word favor in Hebrew can also translate as being precious, and that's something that we constantly use when we're talking about a newborn, someone who is just created, that someone we love, they're precious to us. And so God saw love, He saw His image when He looked at Noah. But before that, He's so grieved that His hand is at the point of destruction. The only thing that holds that destruction at bay is God's love. Have you ever been grieved? Have you ever been grieved because of the actions of others? My first instance of true grief as a child was at the loss of my brother. It was a freak accident and we lost him, and grief entered into our household. It entered into my mother and her husband David's marriage, and eventually it destroyed it. It damaged our relationship, my relationship with David, because instead of finding love and finding God, he found anger and destruction. My mother held on to God and held on to love for me and my sister, and that helped pull her back from that destruction. But when it comes to it, when we're faced with awfulness, we can also choose God's love. We can choose goodness. We can choose to be the image of God. And it reflects the whole world over, but just one, just like Noah. I hope today that we will all pray to find our image in God, and that we will pursue that goodness and that love.